Today we're going to learn about how to use the Olympus CKX31. Okay, so the first step to using the microscope is you need to remove this plastic cover that protects the microscope from accumulating some dust. So remove that. And you can just place this beside the microscope. So I'm going to put it right here. Okay, so the next thing you want to look for is just to make sure that you can turn on the light. So you can see the light switch here for the light that's going to light up the stage is right here. So you can just flip that right on. And so the next thing you're going to do is you're going to put your sample in the stage. So I just have some water here. There's not actually anything in here, but I'm going to put that on the stage. And so the next thing you want to do is you want to turn on the lights. So when you finish using the microscope, you should always turn the light off, but now, so we're going to turn it on. So it should always be off when you start to use it. And so now we turn it on, and one of the interesting things is you can see the light turn on from here because it will shine through. Okay, so now we turned on the light, and you can see that it's on right here. And so the next thing you want to look for is just to make sure that at whatever magnification you want to start with, it's at that magnification. So usually people should store the magnification at either 4 or 10. And so right now you can see this red one is at 4. And so we're just going to say we want to start at 4, but say you wanted to start at 10 or at a higher magnification, depending on what kind of sample you were looking at, you can do the same. So I'm going to put it back to 4 just for today. So now another thing you might want to look for is just at the eyeglasses. And so right here at the eyeglasses, you can adjust them just to your face. So if your eyes are more wide set, you can put them more close to here, and if they're close together, you can do that. And so just adjust to whatever your preference personally is. And so the next thing, and of course here, just looking at the eyepieces, if they look dirty, and these look pretty clean right now, but if they look dirtier, you can always take a Kim wipe and just wipe them off gently. But you want to be very careful because this is a delicate piece of the microscope. And so then the last thing I want to, or not the last thing, but one of the later things is this filter right here. And so this filter changes how much light actually goes to the sample. So you can see this as I move the filter, it's a lot brighter right here, and then you're getting less light to the sample when it's all the way to the left. So left, less light, and then you get to the right and you get a lot of light here. So here on the top right here, you can see that you've got 10, 20, and 40. And so this helps you, because if you're at a higher magnification, like at 40, you want more light going to your sample. And so you can see when it's 40, we put this filter all the way towards the right, and then we get a lot of light coming through. So then when you see, if you're looking at something at high magnification, you want to still get a good illumination, so that helps. But say you're looking at something at 10x or 4x, or something that's low magnification, it sometimes is good to have it all the way over here. Sometimes if I'm looking at a really dark sample, for example, if I change this one out, which is just water, and here's an actual sample that's from one of the chocolate plates from Sapelo. You can see this is a very dark sample, and so if I'm trying to look at 4x, all the way to the right might not work so well, and so I might choose to be here. And even if it's very, very dark, I might choose to be here. But you'll notice if you're looking at with this kind of brightness with 4x, it's going to really hurt your eyes, especially if you get to a point where you're looking at just a part of the sample that there is less, like it's not as dark, and so that will really hurt your eyes. So you do want to be careful with that. So then the last thing is we've talked about magnification, the brightness, and then of course if you want to change the brightness, still you can change brightness from here and that knob, the brightness knob, and you can see the effect of that right there. And so the last thing is to look at focus. And so what you'll do is you'll be looking through the microscope, and you might notice that your sample isn't in focus. And so what you can do is just, this is the coarse focus, and so you're going to get a lot of, the plane is going to change very fast with the large focus, and then the small focus is like for fine-tuning to make sure you've got the best image for your purposes. So that's all I have to say about this microscope. If it's not working, it's probably because it's not plugged in, so make sure your microscope is plugged in. And so the next thing to learn is how to put this microscope away. So the first thing you want to do is you want to remove your sample carefully. You definitely don't want to spill any water on the microscope, or any liquid really. So the next thing you want to do is you want to take this knob here and you want to just turn it down to 0. That's important. And so then after you turn the brightness knob down, you can just turn the light off. Now the next thing you can do is you want to make sure you put the magnifying glass right to 4x again. So you don't want to leave it at like 40x where it's very high. So move that back to 4x if it wasn't already there, and then move this back to the middle and make sure just everything is all in order. And then always put the cover on. So once you've covered the microscope, you're finished and you can go on with whatever else you have to do. I will say this about covering the microscope and turning the light off. If you're just leaving the microscope out for a little bit, it's not the end of the world, but you should, if you're leaving for more than just a few minutes, you really should put the cover on, or at least, at the very least, just turn off the light so you're not burning the battery, because these are fancy equipment and so you want to treat it well. Okay, that's all for this Olympus microscope.